What's going on, guys, and welcome to part 4 of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. We start this one off, this is the Monaco Grand Prix, round number 3. We start this one off, we look at the performance comparison. We are now in 9th. We've dropped behind Alfa Romeo in the performance standings, which is a little bit disappointing. The issue we had in Spain where we retired, it was the energy store, so we've got to put a new energy store on the car. There's no penalty for that yet because we have 2 to play with, but I imagine later on we're going to need to, take a grid penalty for a third energy store. We go on to the timeline, the activity timeline, doing a few things here. Funded team event away gives all of the departments a bit of a morale boost, and then we just do one just for durability as well. Shouldn't affect the others too much because they're getting such a big boost from that big team event. Onto development upgrades. I'm not going to show you all the kind of redeveloping when things fail, but I am just going to show you the upgrades that I do decide to go for this time. None of them are going to be ready for Monaco. I don't think anything's actually... There might have been a couple of upgrades that were ready for this race, but none of the new ones will be. We also put the quality control on the chassis department facility to give us a little bit more quality control there. We also purchased a driver perk, the engine wear perk. Figured, maybe that'll help with our issues. We did have a press interview, but I haven't shown you that on here. I just decided not to. I did originally have it on here, but decided to not bother showing that for this episode. And we head into Q1 at Monaco. Nice sunny day at Monaco for now. If you've seen the title, you know why I say that. This is our best run for Q1. We're currently sitting P14, so we're in a position to get through to Q2. I think it's all the way up to P16, get into Q2. I think in real life it's up to P15, but because there's 22 drivers here instead of 20, I'm pretty sure it's 16 cars that get through to Q2. So we're currently sitting in a spot where we're looking pretty good to get that Q2 spot. Sonoda behind us, then Raikkonen, and then we have the 2 Alpines of Ocon and Alonso in front. Monaco is always one of those tracks where I'm pretty good at the track when I get a good lap. When you focus and you just put your head down and get a great lap, I'm not too bad around Monaco. I'm still not great, nowhere near am I great, but I'm not too bad when I can get a good lap as we bump over the curb a little bit there and get a little bit sideways, but a little bit of time loss, but nothing major. It's just so hard to be consistent around Monaco, and I'm not going to lie, there was quite a few restarts that happened in this race coming up. Q1, we do make it through in P13. We actually get up to P13 with that final run, so that's pretty good there. Our teammate Christian Lundgaard is down in 20th place, so he doesn't make it through to Q2, and not so great from him there. I was hoping maybe a little bit further up the order, but I mean, I do suppose the car is now further down. He qualified 18th in Bahrain, I think 17th in Spain, so yeah, I guess that's about where he was before, now that the car is, the 9th fastest instead of the 8th fastest, although we are right there with Alfa Romeo. Going on to Q2 now, and this would be the first run. My first run would be my quickest run. Just a few mistakes, really, in the later runs. I cannot see the times that well because I'm watching this on a preview on my editing software while I'm recording over it. So looking at the times, I can't see them that well. So I don't know off the top of my head if I didn't actually look at what the time was for Q1 and the time for this one. I might be able to just about read, but I won't be able to compare it because I didn't know the other time. But this lap, it felt a little bit better through here because I still went over that curb, but you kind of have to get the best line. Definitely felt like the end of this run was better, and I think altogether it probably was a better lap, and this puts us into P16, however, so it may have been a better lap, well I thought it was, but yeah, we were way off where we were position wise. And then this lap was the next lap where I was going well at the start. Things started going a bit wrong, hit a couple of walls. I then thought, okay, well I'm just going to let Norris pass because I'm not doing anything here anyway. And then the car understeered massively into that wall. We had big red front wing damage. We might have actually completely lost the front wing. And then the car just completely understeered and went straight into the wall. Tyre is glitching out everywhere. that was a retirement. Luckily, we put in a time anyway, but that time was only 16th at the time, which means that for the race, we are starting P16. Carlos Sainz goes fastest in Q2, which is pretty crazy. The big surprise though, Lewis Hamilton in 11th. He tried getting through on the mediums. It didn't work for him, so he's going to be starting from P11 on the grid. So yeah, interesting grid here for the Monaco Grand Prix.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863. And, of course, a certain road race, first held here in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. We already see the lowest average speeds of the season here at the Circuit de Monaco, and they'll be even lower in the difficult conditions today. 19 corners make up this famous 2-mile track, and with the rain, it'll be even harder than usual to get that critical heat into the tyres. Don't be surprised if we see a safety car at some point during the Grand Prix. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Daniel Ricciardo and Sainz, Norris, Vettel, Stroll and Lewis Hamilton, Raikkonen, Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso, Shaw, Russell, Mick Schumacher and Antonio Giovinazzi, Lundgaard, Gasly, Latifi and Nikita Mazepin. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Alright, so we head into the Monaco Grand Prix, and it is wet, it is raining. You'd have seen that from the title. Trust our first ever wet race to be Monaco. I mean, of all the races for it to be wet, Monaco is not the one that I want. I don't want any race to be wet. I mean, it makes things interesting, that's for sure, but of all the races, why do we have to have Monaco be the first wet race? But anyway, off the line, we actually managed to... Oh no, we don't jump anyone off the line because we start 15th. We end up starting P15 because Pierre Gasly gets a grid penalty. He's down in like 20th or something, 21st, I think something like that, 19th maybe. And Lewis Hamilton also ends up starting in 10th, so he's 1 point up. At least he is one position up. He is now in the points. We end up kind of smacking into the back of Fernando Alonso at this point. Have a little look on the heads-up display, but there's nothing, no damage comes up. However, we do know that in Formula 1 games, you don't have to, it doesn't actually have to show that you have damage. You can still have damage. I mean, if you do relatively bad damage, where it does affect, you know, the coloring of the little damage model thing, you know, it'll usually flash up for you and you'll get a radio message saying, hey, you've got a bit of damage, be careful. This didn't happen this time. We didn't have the thing flash up. When I looked at it, it was still the same color as everything else on the front wing, and we didn't get a radio message, so that doesn't mean that we didn't get any damage though. We could have got a little bit. It's really hard to tell if I do have damage or not here though. I mean, we were keeping with Alonso and Tsunoda up front a little bit at the start, as I get a bit eager on the power there and a little bit of a slide, but I managed to catch it. Was managing to keep with them a little bit, but yeah, after that bang, after that little bash there, we did drop back a little bit. So maybe we do have a bit of damage. Just looking at the restart again up the front, Max Verstappen gets a pretty good getaway. Sergio Perez behind gets a really good one, and he moves his way up to 3rd place, overtaking Charles Leclerc. So it's a Red Bull double podium at the moment, but Valtteri Bottas out in front. Max Verstappen is giving him a run for his money. But let me just say, Valtteri Bottas in this career mode of mine, he's absolutely dominating at the moment. I mean, he's won the first 2 races at Bahrain and Spain. He's got pole here. I don't think he had pole for either of the 2 races. I think Hamilton got pole for both of those. But he's got pole here. And is currently running in first place. I mean, he's got Max Verstappen behind him, but he's actually starting to pull a little bit of a gap now. Valtteri Bottas is looking quite punchy in this career mode so far, especially with Lewis Hamilton at the moment, his main rival, all the way down in 10th place. We move on to lap 4, and I'm somewhat, I don't know, am I catching up to Alonso on that at all? I don't really know if I am, maybe a little bit. So I'm not really 100% sure if there is any damage at this current point in time. It's just very difficult to drive. Although, doing things like that, once again, I checked the heads-up display, no visible damage, but you know what, I think that probably did do a little bit of damage that time, because I was managing to somewhat keep with Alonso for that first bit, but I'm pretty sure it's at this point here now where Alonso starts to...
Okay, the weather's certainly eased off for the time being, but we've still got a lot of standing water out there. We're happy for you to stay out on the Inters for now.
He starts to get ahead a lot, and then we have that radio message there. Apparently it's getting dry. Yeah, I don't think so. He says, oh yeah, there's a lot of standing water on the track. Well, no shit, it is still pissing it down. I don't think it's really calmed down at all. So I don't know what my engineer is talking about there. It is still completely wet out there. Inters for sure are the way to go at the moment.
Okay, there appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
And we hear the dreaded message again. This is the third time in 3 races we've heard that message. You've got an issue, as I put the power down a bit too eagerly again there. We've got another issue. What is this issue going to be? It better not be another Terminal 1, I'm telling you.
There seems to be an issue with our ERS.
Okay, so it's an ERS issue. So it's not an issue that's going to... It's not going to, you know, retire us from the race. But now we have no ERS. We cannot use ERS at all. It's not the end of the world. I mean, the car's still going perfectly fine other than the fact we can't use ERS. And I mean, at Monaco, it's not, you don't use ERS that much. I mean, you use it, well, I mean, I use it. This part here on the front straight, which isn't a particularly long front straight anyway, I then use it up past, you know, from turn 1 onwards, going up the hill here, and then use it a little bit going under, well, through the bridge. Other than that, it's not too bad. Out of all the tracks, you know, for ERS to go, it's not too bad having it go here. Eventually, it does come back around, and we have ERS back again. I don't think I quite realize at this point here, because I'm still not using it going through the tunnel, but I think when we get to the front straight, I remember that we have ERS, and I see that we have ERS now, and we can once again use it because Russell was maybe catching up a little bit. We've got about a 1.1, 1.2 second gap to Russell behind. Alonso though has buggered off at the front. He is like 7.5 seconds ahead or something. He is way ahead up the front, so he's completely gone. We come into the pits on lap 19. It's going to be a switch for another pair of Inters. Of course it is. There's no way we're going on to slick tyres in these conditions. Definitely not at Monaco. And yeah, although my engineer said, oh yeah, it's kind of calming down a bit, you know, it's not. It's still raining the same amount as it was before. But as you can see, the front wing's getting changed. Obviously we did have a little bit of damage to the front wing. It just wasn't showing up on the display. And we get jumped by George Russell in the pits, which is a little bit frustrating. Luckily, he's the only one that jumps us though. And we also actually, oh no, I think Gasly did start down the back anyway because of his grid penalty. Russell is the only car that jumps us. We're in P20 now. There's a couple of cars ahead who haven't come in yet. And now you can see those cars have come in. We're now in P16. We were in P15 before with Russell behind us. Now we're behind Russell. So when we were, you know, behind Alonso getting rid of a slipstream, and before we, I think, got the main bits of damage that we did, we were managing to somewhat pull away from Russell, although it's so hard to be consistent in Monaco, especially in the rain, as we get a big old twitch. That's the new tyres, fresh tyres on here. We get a bit of a twitch, trying to just go as quick as we can around there. Also probably being in a bit of dirty air from Russell. Does dirty air affect... Dirty air is still a thing when it's raining, yeah? I imagine it would be. But yeah, so we get a bit of a twitch there. We are now pretty close to Russell though, lap 27, but we jump over the curb a little bit, and once again I'm a little bit too eager on the power. I was generally getting the balance pretty well. I mean, you can't put the power down like you can on a dry track. I run with medium traction control because I tried with no traction control. I was just awful. I have more. Yes, maybe it's, oh, you're not doing it, you know, professionally or whatever, but yeah, I know, whatever. I'm just doing it the way that I find is fun. But even on medium traction control, you have to be careful on the throttle in the rain. I mean, you have to be careful in the dry, but especially in the rain. You put the power down a little bit too much, a little bit too early, and the car revs up and you just skid and potentially spin. So yeah, I was generally getting the balance pretty well. It was just, you know, coming onto that front straight, especially if you do hit that curb before you get onto the front straight, that can really unsettle the car, and you put your foot down a bit too much, getting a little bit too eager to get past Russell, and yeah, we have a little bit of a burnout. Managed to catch it though, never had anything too severe happen. I was always able to catch it. As we go around here, it's another clip into that wall. We've got a new wing on now, and there's a good chance that we probably have another damaged wing, but whatever. I'm not going to restart or anything, or I'm just going to keep going. We're going to battle with Russell. We're not fighting for points anyway, and honestly, even if it was dry, I don't think I had the pace to get to points. I mean, we qualified technically P16, got up to 15th because of Gasly, and then, yep, he's talking about rain again, I'm pretty sure, just there. Light rain for another 20 minutes or something. Yeah, I can see that. It's very wet. It is very wet in Monte Carlo. So yeah, I think even if this was in the dry, we did not have the pace for points.
Create a gap and let the car behind through.
There's me letting Verstappen past. Really, really awkward trying to let people past at this point. It's just such a hard place to, you know, Monaco is hard to overtake on. Letting cars pass is really, really difficult. So we let Verstappen pass. I think we've got Perez coming up behind us now. The blue flags have only just come out for him as we enter the tunnel, so I decided to go through here. Now, I don't know if I could have just gone straight on here, kind of slowed down a bit, let him pass, but I decided to kind of go wide there so I don't cut the corner and get a penalty. And once again, we smack into the wall. So yeah, there's now like a 4.5 second deficit to Russell. However, once he has to let Verstappen and Perez pass, we're back to within a second. So although there probably is a little bit of damage on the car once again, we're still managing to keep with Russell. I mean, we really should be beating George Russell in the Williams. Although our car has fallen away a little bit, you know, we've fallen slightly behind Alfa Romeo. I think we still have a decent enough gap to Williams and Haas. So the fact we are fighting Russell here, I mean, let's be honest, if he didn't jump me in the pits, I'm confident I would have been able to keep him behind, because the AI, although they're a lot better in this
track is drying, but it's going to take a while to clear the standing water off the line. Don't start thinking about slicks just yet.
Don't worry, mate, I am not thinking about slicks at all. Yeah, what was I saying? I need to pay more attention to where these bloody audio things are coming up as we go into the... Well, this is our final lap, actually. Lap 38, because we got lapped. This is our final lap. A little bit more replays here, because we haven't really shown replays throughout this race, just because there wasn't really a lot of exciting stuff going on. Me and Russell having a nice little battle here, but, you know, it's Monaco in the rain. Overtakes just aren't really going to happen, so I'm trying my hardest. We've got Charles Leclerc coming up behind. He is going to be wanting to lap us. He's in 4th place, doing a very good job in the Ferrari. We get the blue flags through here, so we go a little bit wide. Once again, it gets a little bit awkward. We kind of tap the wall a little bit, but that's a very, very small tap, so I think we would have been okay with that damage-wise. But yeah, we let Leclerc past, and it gets to a point where he doesn't quite catch up to Russell before the end of the race, so we end up having an over 2 second gap to Russell at the end, but it's P16 for us at the Monaco Grand Prix.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Okay, and looking at that, it looks like it has actually come somewhat dry at the end of this race, which is disappointing. It would have been nice for it to be dry throughout the whole race.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance and a victory they can be proud of for years to come. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack. And having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
Okay, so Valtteri Bottas, he's won all 3 races this season so far. He is absolutely on a stonker, massively ahead of the championship now, with Lewis Hamilton, his main rival, finishing all the way back in 10th. He couldn't make any positions up. Verstappen finished 2nd with Perez 3rd, so it's a double podium for Red Bull. So yeah, Valtteri Bottas is really running away with the championship right now. I think Max and Lewis are the only 2 that can really contest him at all. We're all the way down in 16th, unfortunately, just, yeah, didn't really have the pace. Lundgaard, our teammate, down in 20th, so he lost a place, unfortunately. And yeah, we also have a look at the driver standings, because I haven't actually done this yet. Yeah, Bottas up the front, Verstappen's now 2nd, and Hamilton is in 3rd place. So, yeah, somebody's got to catch up to Bottas, because he's really running away with this championship right now. I didn't see how many points in front he was, but I think it's in the 20s, to be honest. Constructors' Championship, nothing's really changed here. You got Mercedes at the front, Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, Aston Martin, AlphaTauri. We are in 7th place, just ahead of Alpine, with the 8 points that I scored in Bahrain. But anyway, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.